The 42nd gate, increase. And the 42nd gate is in the sacral center, and it's pointed down towards the root center, towards its harmonic gate, the 53rd gate, development, and it forms the channel of maturation, a design of balanced development. Now, everything about this channel is that this channel is a format energy, and format energies are very powerful. The 42nd gate is a very powerful gate in terms of the way in which the experiential process or the abstract process operates in a human being. This 42nd gate is the gate of increase, and it is the gate of growth. Now, if you have this gate in your design and you don't have the other side, then there is a tendency to get into things and not be able to get out. The 53rd gate is the gate of beginnings. And so if you have the 42nd gate, you tend to end up in these situations where you're always looking for a new beginning, but you never really quite get to the end. And the 42nd gate is about the expansion of the resources, which maximizes the development of full potential. It's about expanding resources. And the way in which resources are expanded is through experience. That it's only through experience, that it's only through movement, there is this accumulation that can take place. And it is fundamentally about diversification. In other words, if you look at the first line theme of the 42nd gate, the whole nature of this expansion is about diversifying, and diversifying in the sense of what humanity really is. That is, by being able to create surplus resources, and surplus resources are going to be the direct result of new experiential processes. It's all about going out into the experience. It's all about realizing that growth is natural on the experiential path. And that as long as one is properly entered into the experiential path, then one is going to be able to maximize their resources. Now, of course, the 42nd gate is a sacral gate. And it's instrumental in the way in which life works, as each of the 9 sacral gates are essential to the nature of being. Now, the 42nd gate is a sacral gate. If it's in a defined sacral center, then the only way in which it really is going to increase, the only way in which growth and the maximization of resources is going to take place, is if that 42nd gate has entered into experiences correctly as a generator. And of course, that's a question of response. That the moment that the generator is responding as a way of decision-making, denying the not-self mind the opportunity to control and frustrate the generator's life, as long as the generator is responding out of their sacral center, then this 42nd gate is going to operate perfectly. And that one is going to be able to complete experiences. And this is something essential. So many people in the human experiential way give up in the middle of a process. They get stuck. And this is one of the themes of generating, is to get stuck. And it's so essential that the only way in which one can truly gain the rewards and the resources is if one goes through the experience completely. Someone who carries the 42nd gate always has that potential within them to go through an experience completely. Now, the first line of diversification is that when surplus resources are available, it can extend one's activities beyond their normal scope. Now, it can also lead to decadence. And so one of the things inherent in the 42nd gate is that there's a deep potential, this deep potential for resources that are possible in life as long as one can go through the experience to the end. Now, what's very difficult is for those beings who have the 42nd gate, and they have the 42nd gate in an open sacral center. Now, the strategy of the open sacral center is never knowing when enough is enough. And so one of the dilemmas of somebody with a 42nd gate in an open sacral center is that they end up holding on to things to the very, 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 very end. They don't know when to give up. They don't know when to stop. They don't even know when things are over, and that they must stop. And the other thing is, of course, that it's going to operate inconsistently. So somebody is going to be empowered suddenly with this energy in their sacral center, and it's going to lead to a deep frustration in their life. Everything about any gate operating out of the sacral is to honor the laws of the sacral, and to recognize so clearly that nothing is going to operate correctly in you or in anyone else unless you're operating correctly. The 32nd gate. Duration. In the splenic center, pointed downwards to the root center, to its harmonic gate, the 54th gate, the marrying maiden, and together they form the channel of transformation, a design of being driven. And everything about this channel is that this channel is deeply tribal and it is deeply instinctive. And the 32nd gate is the root of what we call instinct. The splenic center is an awareness center. And each of the gates of the splenic center, the 7 gates of the splenic center, each and every one of them represent an aspect of the potential of splenic awareness. And that aspect of that awareness is accompanied by a fear that drives it. In other words, that at the core of what we call intelligence, at the very basis of this, the great motivating force, if you will, is fear. Mostly this has to do with the way in which we developed as a species. In other words, the very fear for our survival, because the world is a dangerous place. Our fear for survival led to the development of survival strategies. It is out of these survival strategies that our intelligence, in that sense, evolved. And one of the roots of this intelligence is instinctive. And so much of what is instinctive is rooted in the nose. If you're somebody that has a 32nd gate, you have a nose for certain things. And it's not just for a sensitivity to aroma. It is a nose for talent, as an example. The 32nd gate, if we were to look at this tribal stream of enterprise, or the capitalist side of the tribe, from the 54, the gate of ambition, to the 32, and then to the 44, and finally to the 26. The 32 is basically the personnel manager. It really is the one that has to look for the talent. It's not just the personnel manager in that sense, because the 44 does that as well in terms of the way in which it handles the ego of the 26, which is the salesman. But the 32 is very concerned about the resources. It's very much the business manager, and it's very much concerned about avoiding failure. Now, the theme of the 32nd gate is the theme of failure, the fear of failure. And when you're carrying this 32nd gate in a defined splenic system, you're always dealing with a deep fear within you that failure is possible on the material plane. And of course, this becomes a driving force. But it's not individual. That is, this is tribal. And the tribe is about, as its keynote suggests, is about support. The 32nd gate is always looking for talent. It's looking for talent within the tribe that can add to the wealth of the tribe and secondarily benefit the 32nd gate along the way. And so the 32nd gate always has its eye open. On the other side is the 54. The ambition that wants to rise up. And yet the ambition needs to be recognized in order for transformation to take place. In the tribal sense, tribal capitalism, the success of which is absolutely essential. Without material abundance, then the tribe is going to begin to suffer, and its infrastructure is going to begin to suffer, and it will no longer be able to defend itself. But the 32nd gate has to deal with the fact that everything in life changes. The key to this hexagram is the only thing which endures is change. And it's all about conservation. At the very basis, the first line is about a respect and attention to all aspects of a process. It's about developing an instinct for processes. Now, the 32nd gate in an undefined splenic system is always going to hold on to the wrong things, because that's the not-self strategy of the open spleen. Holding on to the promise, the wrong promise of those that hopefully can lead you and them to transformation together. And whenever you're dealing with an open splenic system, that the not-self strategy of holding on to things that aren't good for you, that when the spleen is conditioned by somebody else, activated by somebody else, then that strategy becomes even more vicious. It becomes letting go of those things that are good for you. And so for those that carry the 32nd gate, there's always this deep risk of feeling insecure and feeling uncomfortable because there is concern about the material plane. If you have the 30-second gate, the most important thing for you is to recognize that you're here to make decisions correctly as yourself. And then you will be able to handle whatever the material demands are. And you will be able to have the eye for those that, along with yourself, can lead to the material transformation of the tribe, of the group, of the family, of the business, whatever it may be. The 42nd gate, increase.